Welcome to the Women Who AI podcast, the show where bold women come to the front row. I'm your host, Kelley Tenny, founder of Women Who AI, and every week I'm bringing you real conversations with the women who are building, automating, and making history in the AI space. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Who AI podcast. Kelley Tenny here, and today I am here with the amazing Brittany Long, who I was just sharing before we started recording. When I think about like fun and creative and really like truly innovative ways to use AI, Brittany is always someone that comes to mind because I feel like, Brittany, you're always thinking outside of the box in terms of AI and not just focusing on the workflows and the things that everybody else is doing, but I feel like you're always someone that's like pushing the envelope. So Brittany, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited too.
Yeah. So and if you guys don't know, Brittany was one of our like original speakers on the first Women Who AI Summit. And she's been on definitely more than once because there's always something new and innovative that Brittany is doing. And so we're going to chat a little bit about what Brittany's been doing with AI agents, which is really cool. But before we dive into that, I want to just ask you, as I shared earlier, you're always just doing really fun things with AI. I know you've like created board games for yourself using AI. You do really fun things with AI videos and avatars, but like how do you approach AI? Like where do you think that just sense of that spark of fun and creativity, like how do you consistently tap into that? Is it your personality or do you think it's in your approach when you think about AI?
I think it's a little bit of both. I know for me, following what a lot of other people say to do with AI doesn't always work for me. Like I can create a million pieces of content and then still not push them out there. And so for me, I know that I have to gamify basically everything or I'm not going to actually follow through with stuff. So knowing that, if you look at the Enneagram 7, Wing 8, very creative and, kind of think differently and stuff like that. And so I know if I'm just going to follow some random person who's like, all right, here's the method and it's this and it's very like cut and dry. The chances of me actually using that consistently is just not very high. I just know that about myself. And I used to beat myself up about it all the time and be like, why can't I just fit myself into this box? And then I realized, it's okay to not fit yourself into any box. And so that's kind of how I approach it is what's going to actually help me do this and what's going to allow me to have the biggest, fullest life, whatever that looks like for me in the moment as I can. I had shared before a long time ago that I had a cancer scare back in, I think it was 2017. And that really changed my perspective on how I approach life. Like we have a finite life and I really want to have the biggest impact I can, and enjoy all the things that I want to enjoy. And so that's kind of how I approach what I do with AI.
I I love that you're saying that because when you're talking about like, why can't I just fit in this box? Why can't I watch there's so many amazing people out there teaching really great things with AI, teaching systems that are so easy to follow. But I'm with you. Like I do them and I'm always like, I feel like either it doesn't resonate with me. I always just feel like the size just isn't quite fitting, right? Like I see the power in what other people are doing. I see the value in like how it would help my business or whatever, but there's always something that doesn't just fit quite right. And I feel like I'm going to guess that there's a large number of people out there using AI that are forcing themselves to follow but feel like we do, and I think you and I are kind of on the same in that, like, if it doesn't feel right, we don't do it,
Mhm.
right? And, and we should on ourselves. Like, I should be doing this, and I'm with you. I can't tell you how many 30-day, like, content calendars I've made for myself, and if you go on any of my social media, it's very clear that I'm not utilizing those 30 days, but something just doesn't feel right, and I think that more people probably feel that way and just don't talk about it. So, I really love that you brought that out because I think that's something that's it definitely resonates with me, but it probably resonates with a lot of people. But you're actually taking you're taking action on it, right? Like you're saying, okay, so what does work for me then? And how can I use AI to make it work for me and not just be like a lot of others that do the thing and then don't really utilize it?
Yeah, and I try to, like, put off the shame that I feel too sometimes because, like you were saying, there's that should of, "Man, I should be like this other person that I see that's amazing, that's really successful. I should be more like them." But
Mhm.
sometimes there's something in my brain that will not physically let me do, like, the 30-day things. I mean, for me, I can do, like, a 3-day challenge, and I can crush it on, like, short bursts like that, and then after that, it's hard for me to kinda stick with it unless I add something else that's really fun or interesting or engaging to it. And I think about a lot of other entrepreneurs that I see that have just a different life or lifestyle or goals than I do. It doesn't make sense to try to fit my goals in my life into, what they've already set up. Like the people who say things like, "Oh, just get up at 5 a.m. and knock everything out." Like for me, that's not going to work because it doesn't matter what time it is. If I wake up no matter where I'm at in the house, my daughter knows and she'll wake up too, and so then there's that time that I won't have to work on it anyway, and so it's like trying to figure out how can I make this work for me and my specific life and my specific goals, and still cheer on everybody else that's doing what works for them. I love that too.
Yeah.
I made a game, like an app recently, but it's just like a game board, but it's a digital version, and I thought, what are the things that I have to do to make my business really thrive? There's traffic, sales, fulfillment, and systems, those 4 things. And so then I said, okay, what are the biggest levers that are moving the needle forward for us in those 4 categories? So I wrote it up, I put it into Claude Code, and I had it create like a clickable to-do list basically. But it was like aesthetic and beautiful. And I was like, nope, this is too boring for me. I need more gamification. I need more fun. I need more colors. And so it made a second version where when I click it and it checks off, it gives me like this little sound, which is such a lovely little dopamine hit. And it gives
Mhm.
me like XP and experience points and gets me to the next level every time I click some, or, after like 10 clicks, I get to a next level. And that works for me. I am so productive using those kind of things
Yep.
versus just something that's beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, but boring.
Yeah, and that was kind of my next question. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And the question was, when it comes to like where asking that like, okay, how can I make this work for me? And then like once you realize, like for you, for example, you're like gamification. For me, I'm very much a click person also. Like I did 75 hard, which is where every day I do all these cuckoo things. The only reason why I made it is because they have an app that you where you have to click off thing that you did, right? And
Mhm.
just that satisfaction of being on an app saying, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. Or at the end of the day saying, I achieved this, I achieved this. Like that's what got me through. And so I think that's really key. And then it's like, but now what? Right? Like now that I know that this is what I need, where do I get started? And so you mentioned Claude Code, right? And there's so many things out there now where it's like you can turn your ideas into the thing between vibe coding and Claude Code and all of those things. But is Claude Code what you're typically using or
No,
are you vibe coding? How are you creating all of these things?
I'm mostly using Claude Cowork. Sometimes I'll start in Claude Chat only because it can pull from all the memories, and so I'll say things like, based on what you know about me, based on what's worked for me in the past, based on my personality, those kind of things. Can you tell me why this particular thing isn't working for me? If this is my goal, what do I need to do differently that will actually stick? Those kind of things. Then once I have the overall view of it, then I'll go into Claude Cowork and say, okay, here's the next thing. What can you do for me? What can you take off my plate from this? And then once I've stripped off everything that it can do and schedule and automate, then I would go into Claude Code and finish it up there if I need to. But most of my time I'm spending in Claude Cowork. It also feels less. And I feel like I'm not supposed to say this as somebody that helps other people with AI, but Claude Code and just code in general has been a little bit intimidating to me, and the more
Mhm.
I'm in it, the easier it's been, just like anything. Like, the more you practice, the easier it gets, surprise, surprise. But I have spent a lot more time in cowork than code personally, so far.
It's funny because so do I. Like I am in Claude and Claude Cowork all the time. And Claude Code and even Claude Skills. is something that I've been leaning into, but for whatever reason, it doesn't feel as intuitive
Mhm.
as other things. Although, like with vibe coding, I've been having a lot of fun with Lovable,
Mhm.
but I know other people use like Base 44, which I've tried, and I'm like, or Replit, which I've tried, and I'm like, So I think that that's also part of it is like there's so much out there and there's so many people saying, use this tool, use this tool, use this tool. But we really have to be able to be insightful enough to be like, well, which one just feels intuitive for me? And it doesn't, sometimes I try to wonder why. And then I'm like, does it really even matter why? Other than the fact that, like, so you like Lovable more than Base 44. Maybe it's the colors. Like, who knows what it is, right?
Mhm.
But it's that consistency piece, I think, that as long as you can be consistent with it, then that's really important. So, well,
Yeah,
I
I
know
agree.
you've been doing like really cool things with AI agents. And for me, that is something also that I am like, haven't fully leaned into. I certainly could create an agent. Um, but with all of the agents that people are creating, there's so many where I'm like, "I don't really know.
Mhm.
I don't know if I really need that." Right. So tell me what you've been doing with AI agents and how you've been leveraging that.
Yeah, so anything that I know feels hard for me that's like a daily kind of task, we've been starting to use agents for. So one of the big ones is our inbox. So now twice a day at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. it checks my emails. But the cool thing about it, especially using Cowork for it, is that it will read through the email, but it also read through the whole thread. So it sees how you're responding to people and then in that specific thread, and then creates a new response from that. And I like it because I still look at it before I send it out because it sets it up as a draft in my inbox. So I still look at it, but there's very little that I have to change. Most of the time, I'm like,
Mhm.
that's exactly what I would say. This is great. And then we also set it up to be a salesperson in there too. So let's say somebody's like, oh, I'm interested in working with you. What are your options? It'll read through what they've asked about previously, if they have, and it has links to all of my offers and like just kind of an overview of what each of those offers are, and so it can make recommendations based on that and even send them the link. So even that, just not having to copy and paste a link is, it sounds so silly, but that's something that getting in my inbox and then knowing that I'm gonna have to find something and copy and paste it in, it just slows me down. And so having that has been incredibly helpful. That's probably my favorite one so far that we're using.
And so you're just using Cowork to do that. You're not actually creating an AI agent, through some kind of other like, through a Claude skill or anything like that. You've just got a Cowork task basically is what you've created with that?
Yeah, so it does pull from our skills. So it pulls from the
Okay.
skill to be able to reply to it also. So it looks through like my brand voice and stuff like that, but it also looks through
Mhm.
what I said in the email. And so it will pull from the skill, and it happens every single day without me having to trigger anything manually. And then all that I have to do at the end of the day is look through the drafts. I could have it send it, but that freaks me out a little. So
Yeah.
that's why I did that. But yeah, I mean, and it will automatically, based on the feedback I give it, it'll update as well, and it'll continue to look through the emails I'm sending if it sees me starting to send something different. Like if I start sending it as Brit instead of Brittany, it's going to start changing it to that too. So it'll automatically make those updates. Um, so it's interesting because I guess maybe this is more agentic than agent, but I guess when I first started looking at agents and stuff, I was like, okay, first I need to learn NA to end. Then I was like, no, now I need to learn code. Now I need to learn this other thing. And so I was like, all right, Brittany, those things feel intimidating for you right now. What's something that you can do that will take this off your plate and act like an agent would, but isn't going to require me to uh, like, I'm not gonna have the same resistance towards. And since I was already using Cowork so much, I was like, let's try it here. And
Yeah.
so it's a scheduled task that happens automatically every single day. And in a lot of ways it does the functions that an agent would exactly.
Yeah. So why did you start with email? Where like what how was that the one thing that you identified? Because when we think about taking things off our plate, like as business owners, there's a lot of things, right, that can be taken off our plate. Um, but why email? What led you to honing in on that piece?
Two main reasons. One, there's that sales piece of it. I
Mm,
knew that there were emails in my I knew that if I answer my emails, we'll make more money. Because people are always asking like, what can help me with this, or asking for recommendations on tools that I have affiliate links for, things like that. So I knew that if I consistently cleared my inbox every day, that we would make more money. And anytime I've been in a position where I've done that consistently, we've seen an increase in revenue. And so it felt like a really easy lever to pull to because we've seen it historically, we've seen the revenue go up when we are answering emails in a
mm,
timely way, all the time. So we've seen that lever go up or that be a lever for us historically. But then the other reason was answering emails. It's something that I avoid and that I procrastinate on, which means that it impacts everything else that I'm doing. So
mhm,
not only does it impact our revenue, but it impacts how I'm able to show up in literally every other area of my business. And it's not that I don't like answering emails, I really do, but
mhm.
it's like just starting it. I'm usually like a fast action taker, but for whatever reason, sitting down, typing thoughtful responses, the thought of starting that task just feels like I'm walking through mud or molasses trying to get that done. And so, if I want to have a productive day, I know that I need someone or something helping me get through those emails.
I love that, and again, I think too, like, I'm glad that you shared kind of the thought process behind it because very similarly, I think that when it comes to AI agents and automating things, there's a lot of people that are like, "I built this agent, who wants it? Who wants the prompt?" Right? And it's like we try to say, "Oh, well, if he's using that and we know what revenue he does or we know, then like we should be doing that, but it doesn't always fit like within our business or even like I said, even with what we need. Or you said something important and I'm glad you said it because I was going to ask about this within our own like ethics of security and safety, right? And things like that. So, like I have a Claude Cowork task where it goes through and it reads just all of my AI news emails
Mhm,
that comes through. And then at 8:30 every morning, it just gives me the like, here's what's been happening today in the world of AI.
mhm,
Because there's so much good stuff that's coming out. And Lord knows I don't have time to read the 13 emails that, come through that I subscribe to. But it's always cool to just like the Canvas AI 2 point I was like, "Oh, that's out," right? Like, and I wouldn't have known that, I would have missed it. But I am with you in that there's just this little part of me that's like, "Okay, it can read my emails."
mhm.
And we've seen the nightmare stories from things, not necessarily Claude, but like OpenClaw and all of those things of it's just sending emails out or deleting emails. And so I like that you, in your own workflow or your own agent, you've given it parameters that are within like where you feel comfortable. Right. And just because it could answer emails and send them out doesn't mean that it needs to. Right.
Yeah, and I still want to be part of the process. I think that's something else that we don't hear from a lot of AI experts and a lot of AI people using AI a lot is that it's okay for you to still do some of the things. If you enjoy a part of your job, your business, you don't have to outsource that to AI if you don't want to, even if everybody else is. Like it's still okay to have some things that you're like, "You know what? I like doing this." And so I like seeing the drafts and seeing if there's anything that I've changed, but I also like seeing the emails from people. It's not even that I don't want to answer emails. It's just the
Mhm.
initial starting of it that
Yeah.
for whatever reason is a huge block to me. Like it just feels so massively overwhelming, which is wild because I do so many other things that to other people it feels overwhelming, but it doesn't to me. And it's just I think personality and stuff like that. And so um I still wanna be part of the process, I still want there to be that personal touch. I just need something to help me get it started. It's like pushing a giant rock up the hill. Once I've got
Yeah.
the momentum, I'm good, but it's like just getting started pushing that rock up.
Yeah. So what do you think is like your biggest, like I said, you're always so authentic. You're always so creative. I think now that we're talking about this, what I'm thinking is part of that creativity piece is because you've allowed yourself to think outside of the box, right? And so when I think of you in terms of what you do and that creativity, I think that is just it. I think it's because I know that you are always doing things that are a little outside of what the normal, typical AI expert out there is teaching. You know, there's a lot of noise, a lot of people teaching the same thing, and you always have this, like, cool spin or addition or something that you're doing, but, I think it sounds like part of your key and part of that has been, like, giving yourself permission to be like, "I don't have to do what everybody else is doing."
Yeah, I mean, I think looking back, not just in my business, but my life in general, things go best for me when I'm kind of marching to the beat of my own drum. Like when I'm trying to fit myself into exactly what somebody else is doing or what somebody else says to do. Even coaches and stuff like that. I have had amazing coaches. And when I try to do the exact thing and the exact process they say to do, unless it feels perfectly aligned for me and perfectly right, I have, like, this block for it, and I can't really move forward. And so, I know that for me and for my business that both of those do best when when I allow myself to have that little bit of extra flair or, try something different. And even if it, like, is a massive failure, like, I try something that's terrible, at least I tried it, and I feel really good about that, and I learned something. And I think
Yeah,
so, yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of it is giving myself permission to try to do things differently. When I didn't try to do things differently, I was teaching middle school science in a concrete block classroom every day that smelled like BO and was under fluorescent lights. Like that's what being normal or doing the normal thing looks like to me. And
yeah,
that's not the life for me. Like
yeah,
amazing for people whose life that is for, but that is not the life for me. And
yeah,
when I gave myself permission to think outside of that box, that, those four walls, um, so many amazing things have opened up for me and such an amazing life has been created. And so for me, I think I can't go back to just following what everybody else is doing or trying whatever everybody else is doing. I have to add in what is gonna bring me joy and excitement for the one life that I have.
yeah. So, for our listeners, right, for all of the women out there leaning into AI who are like, yes, I've experienced that too, or I'm glad it's not just me. I am trying to do the things, but nothing ever feels just exactly like it fits. What do you think what is your biggest advice to them?
I think I think the thing that holds people back the most from doing that is this fear of failure or getting it wrong or feeling embarrassed or it not working out. But what I've found is that the more that I try new things and share what I'm doing, it gives other people permission to do it too. And so I imagine there's probably people in your life that are waiting for permission, and you might be just a little bit braver than they are, or just a little bit more open than they are. And so by giving yourself permission to do that, not only is it going to impact your life, but it's also going to create this beautiful ripple effect for so many other people that look up to you. And sometimes it's people you don't even know look up to you. And so I think if you're feeling stuck in that, you're scared of kind of stepping out of the box because what could happen and stuff like that. Um, Sometimes for me, being brave just for the sake of being brave or trying something new just for the sake of trying something new isn't enough. Sometimes I have to be like, all right, on a bigger scale, is this going to impact somebody positively if I take this step myself? And if it does, that can push me over the edge. So I think that's what I would do is think, what are all the ways that this could go well? I think I saw a stat that it was like 97% of the time things go better than you expect it to. And then always thinking, what can I learn from this instead of seeing it as like a pass or fail sort of situation. Everything that I go into, I think, what can I learn from this so that no matter what, I'm moving forward because I'm learning something from it.
I love that. And I know that again, you've said it a number of times today, as we've been talking, but you're really all about just creating things in your life, that bring you joy, right? Like being in the moment and living a life that is just regret free all the time. So when it comes to females out there who maybe are not diving in to AI, maybe they're not comfortable or they don't know if it fits. Where do you think the regret could be for women who are waiting before they actually jump in or explore with AI or want to get to where you are, but they just feel like they're not there yet? Like, where do you think there could be a potential regret for anybody who is waiting in the world of leveraging AI?
Yeah. I think that if you have a business or a side hustle, using AI is pretty much non-negotiable at this point. And um, I think the regret that would come up there is probably feeling like you're feeling like you're so far behind that, like, where do I even start? And some of you might even be feeling that now. I do want to remind you that even now, as you're using AI, you are still in the top like 10% of people using AI. Even if you
Mhm.
start today and you've never used it before, you're still an early adopter. It might not feel like it, especially if you follow a lot of entrepreneurs. You may not feel like it, but you're still an early adopter. But I think the longer you wait, the harder it's going to be. And so I'd encourage you to start that now. Now, if you're somebody who has a lot of pause with AI, let's say with the environmental impacts, with how it has used other people's things to be trained and such. If you're feeling a lot of pull not to use AI because of that and you don't have a business, then I think the regret may come up of, man, I've used something that I don't feel in alignment with or I don't feel like is morally okay. And so if you're that person that's listening, then AI might not be for you, and that's okay.
Mm.
It will make some things harder for you. It will make things much slower for you. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to sit with yourself and you have to, like, you're going to be with yourself the rest of your life. And so you have to figure out what's going to feel right for me and in alignment for me. What can I close my eyes at the end of the day and feel okay about with myself? Um, and so there's going to be a broad range. It doesn't have to be yes or no, black and white. It can be on a spectrum of where you're at with it. But if you're in business, I would recommend at least getting started with it, even if it's just using the chat function on one of these tools and saying, where do I even start? Here's my business. Here's my personality. Where do I start?
I love it. Such good advice. And again, like you always just know how to really preserve. I think that authenticity and just that creativity in terms of being able to really create things and build things with AI that are truly you and are never, something that has been duplicated or taken exactly from someone else. Like you've just got such a beautiful way of making it yours, and turning it into something that works for you. So I deeply appreciate that. And for any of our listeners who aren't following you or haven't connected with you yet, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Women Thrive with AI, and then also on YouTube, Brittany Long, Women Thrive with AI. Happy to connect.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Women Who AI podcast. If this conversation gave you something, a spark, a strategy, or just a reminder that you belong in this space, share it with a woman in your life who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe wherever you listen, leave us a review, and most importantly, come find us inside the Women Who AI community. I'm Kelley Tenny, and I'll see you in the front row.
With you at either.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for taking the time with us today. Always good to have a conversation with you. And thank you to our listeners, for joining us. And we'll see you on the next Women Who AI podcast. Take care, everybody.